I've always loved the work of the American confessional poets of the 60s. Robert Lowell and Sexton, Sylvia Plath, and it seems a great pity that confessional poetry seems to be no longer fashionable, no longer encouraged to be read. A. Alvarez, in the new poetry, certainly introduced and championed confessional poets. But recently I gather he made some comment where he felt they were overvalued. I am baffled as to this. And it made me look again at these poets. The one I knew least is Anne Sexton. And there are some truly magnificent poems she's written, which, although they are in the vein of the confessionals, are in no way derivative from them. Her kind. I have gone out, a possessed witch, haunting the black air, braver at night. Dreaming evil, I have done my hitch over the plain houses, light by light. Lonely thing, 12-fingered, out of mind. A woman like that is not a woman, quite I've been her kind. I've found the warm caves in the woods, filled them with skillets, carvings, shelves, closets, silks, innumerable goods, fix the suppers for the worms and the elves, whining, rearranged and disaligned. A woman like that is misunderstood. I have been her kind. I have ridden in your cart, driver, waving my new arms at villages going by, learning the last bright roots, survivor, where your flames still bite my thigh. And my ribs crack where your wheels wind. A woman like that is not ashamed to die. I have been her kind. Housewife. Some women marry houses. It's another kind of skin. It has a heart, a mouth, a liver, and bowel movements. The walls are permanent and pink. See how she sits on her knees all day, faithfully washing herself down. Men enter by force, drawn back like Jonah into their fleshy mothers. A woman is her mother. That's the main thing. Young. 1,000 doors ago, when I was a lonely kid, in a big house with 4 garages and it was summer, as long as I could remember, I lay on the lawn at night, clover wrinkling under me, the wise stars bedding over me, my sister's windows a funnel of yellow heat running out, my father's window half shut, and I where sleepers pass, and the boards of the house were smooth and white as wax, and probably 1,000,000 leaves sailed on their strange stalks as the crickets tickled together, and I, in my brand new body, which was not a woman's yet, told the stars my questions, and thought God could really see the heat and the painted light. Elbows, knees, dreams. Good night. Somewhere in Africa. Must you leave, John Holmes, with the prayers and psalms never said over you? Death with no rage to weigh you down, praised by the mild God, his arm over the pulpit, leaving you timid, with no real age, whitewashed by belief, as dull as the windy preacher, dead of a dark thing, John Holmes. You've been lost in the college chapel, mourned as father and teacher, mourned with piety and grace under the university cross. Your last book unsung, your last hard words unknown, abandoned by science, cancer blossomed in your throat, rooted like bougainvillea into your grained backbone, ruptured your pores until you wore it like a coat. the thick petals, the exotic reds, the purples and whites, covered up your nakedness and bore you up with all their blind power. I think of your last June nights in Boston, your body swollen but light, your eyes small as you let the nurses carrying you into a strange land. If this is death and God is necessary, let him be hidden from the missionary, the well-wisher and the glad hand. Let God be some tribal female who is known but forbidden. Let there be this God who is a woman who will place you upon her shallow boat, who is a woman naked to the waist, moist with palm oil and sweat, a woman of some virtue and wild breasts, her limbs excellent, unbruised and chaste. Let her take you. She will put strong 12 men at the oars, for you are the stronger than mahogany, and your bones fill the boat high with fruit and bark from the interior. She will now have you, you whom the funeral cannot kill. John Holmes, cut from a single tree, lie heavy in her hold, and go down that river with the ivory, the copra, and the gold. I would like to read now One Eye, Two Eyes, Three Eyes. Even in the pink crib, the somehow deficient, the somehow maimed, are thought to have a special pipeline to the mystical. The faint smell of the occult, a large ear on the god horn. Still, the parents have bizarre thoughts, thoughts like a skill saw they accuse. Your grandfather, your bad sperm, your evil ovary, thinking, the devil has put his finger upon us. And yet in time they consult their astrologer and admire their atrophy. They turn a radish into a ruby. They plan an elaborate celebration. They warm to their roles. They carry it off with a positive fervour. The bird who cannot fly is left like a cockroach. A three-legged kitten is carried by the scruff of her neck and dropped into a blind cellar hole. A malformed foal would not be nursed. Nature takes care of nature. I knew a child once with the mind of a hen. She was the favoured one, for she was as innocent as a snowflake and was a great lover of music. She could have been a candidate for the International Bark Society, but she was only a primitive. A harmonica would do. Love grew round her like crabgrass. Even though she might live to the age of 50, her mother planned a mass of the angels and wore her martyrdom like a string of pearls. The unusual needs to be commented upon. The thalidomide babies with flippers at their shoulders, wearing their mechanical arms like derricks. The club-footed boy, wearing his shoe like a flat iron. The idiot child, a stuffed doll who can only masturbate. The humpback carrying his hump like a bag of onions. Oh, how we treasure their scenic value. When a child stays needy until he is 50, oh mother eye, crush me in. The parent is as strong as a telephone pole. Once upon a time there were 3 sisters, one with one eye like a great blue agee, one with 2 eyes common as pennies, one with 3 eyes, the third like an intern. Their mother loved only 1 eye and 3. She loved them because they were God's lie, and she liked to poke at the unusual holes in their faces. 2 eyes was as ordinary as an old man with a big belly, and she despised her. 2 eyes wore only rags and ate only scraps from the dog's dish and spent her days caring for their goats. One day, off in the fields with the goat, 2 eyes cried. Her cheeks were as wet as a trout, and an old woman appeared before her and promised if she sang to her goat, a feast would always be provided. 2 eyes sang, and there appeared a table as rich as one at Le Pavilion, and each dish bloomed like floribunda. Two Eyes, her eyes as matched as pen and pencil set, ate all she could. This went on in a secret manner until the mother and sister saw that she was not lapping from the dog dish. So One Eye came with her and her goat to see where and how she got her secret food. However, Two Eyes sang to her as softly as milk, and soon she fell asleep. In this way Two Eyes enjoyed her usual magic meal. Next the mother sent Three Eyes to watch. Again Two Eyes sang, and again her sister fell asleep. However, her third eye did not shut. It stayed as open as a clam on a half shell, and thus she witnessed the magic meal, and the mother heard all of it, and thus they killed the goat. Again Two Eyes cried like a trout, and again the old woman came to her and told her to take some of the insides of the slaughtered goat and bury them in front of the cottage. She carried forth the green and glossy intestine and buried it where she was told. The next morning they all saw a great tree with leaves of silver, glittering like tinfoil, and apples made of 14-carat gold. One Eye tried to climb up and pick one of the branches, merely withdrew. Three Eyes tried, and the branches withdrew. The mother tried, and the branches withdrew. "May I?" said Two Eyes, but they replied, "You with your two eyes, what can you do?" But yet when she climbed up and reached out, an apple came into her hand, as simply as a chicken laying her daily egg. They bade her come down from the tree to hide. As a handsome knight was riding their way, he stopped and admired the tree as you knew he would. They claimed the tree as theirs, and he said sadly, "He who owns a branch of that tree would have all he wished for in the world." The two sisters clipped round the tree like a pair of miming clowns, but not a branch or an apple came their way. The tree treated them like poison ivy. At last Two Eyes came forth and easily broke off a branch for him. Quite naturally the knight carried off, and the sisters were overjoyed at how the tree would belong to them. It burned in their brains like radium, but the next morning the rare tree had vanished. The tree had in fact gone the way of such magic, followed Two Eyes to the castle. The knight married her, and she wore gowns as lovely as kisses, and ate goose liver and peaches wherever she wished. Years later 2 beggars came to the castle, along with the fishermen and the peasants and the whole mournful lot. These beggars were none other than her sisters, wearing their special eyes, one the Cyclops, one the pawnshop. Two Eyes was kind to them and took them in, for they were magical. They were to become her Stonehenge, her cosmic investment, her seals, her rings, her urns, and she became as strong as Moses. Two Eyes was kind to them and took them in because they were needy. They were to become her children, her charmed cripples, her hybrids. Oh Mother Eye, crush me in. So they took root in her heart with their religious hunger.